The new SAT, Test 1, Section 3, number 16 through 20. These are the grid-ins. There's some things you need to know about grid-ins, which we'll cover in class, and I'll give little hints as we go. These start out easy once again. So if you get stuck on the first part of the test, they start getting too hard, move on to the grid-ins and do the first few of the grid-ins because they're going to be starting with the easier problems. So t is greater than 0. We'll see where that comes into play. What's the value of t? Well, you can put a 2 in there and square it and see that the answer is 2. Or you can actually factor it. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can do t minus 2, t plus 2 equals 0, and solve, set each factor equals 0, so you get t equals 2 and negative 2. T is greater than 0, so your answer is going to be 2. When you grid it in, put your answer the whole way to the right and fill in the circle. All right, next one. A summer camp counselor wants to find the length of x in feet across the lake represented in the sketch above. The lengths represented are AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch were determined to be 1,800 feet, 1,400 feet, 700, and 800 feet respectively. They intersect at point B. They show you these two angles are the same measure. What's the value of x? We'll fill everything in. Write on your diagram in your book, in the booklet where you have. You don't want to be writing in your solution where you fill in the circles because the computer, when it grades it, won't know what to do with all those stray marks. All right, if you know anything about geometry, you know that these are similar triangles because vertical angles are going to be congruent. So you have two angles congruent to two angles, so that means all three angles are congruent. That means that triangles are similar, and that means that their sides are proportional. So we're going to set up proportions. I did the little triangle to the big triangle. If you swing this triangle around, you're going to find out that 700 and 1,400 line up together. So we do 700 over 1,400. You could do 1,400 over 700. Then I did little over big, so it's 800 over x. Or if you did 1,400 over 700, it would be x over 800, which probably would be easier. So we're going to cross multiply. I think what I did was I just did this. I said 1/2. 700 goes to 1,400 2 times. So we get x equals 1,600. And that's your answer. And you fill that in. Okay, and there's only 4 slots in the grid-ins for those, so you just start at the left, make sure you fill in the bubbles. The bubbles are the most important part, not the numbers on the top, but you should fill in the numbers on the top anyway. Okay, another systems of linear equations that you have to solve. I just did mine again by elimination. I multiplied the top guy by -1, and I added them together. So negative x minus y equals, negative x minus y equals 9. I threw this really easy one in here for you. 2y equals negative 25. I noticed that this says, what is the value of x? So I should have eliminated the y's. It would have been easier, but I didn't. So we got y equals negative 16. So then I had to go back and figure out what x is. So I substituted back in, and I got x equals 7. It probably would have been easier in the future. It says, what is the value of x? I should have eliminated the y's, and then I could have saved myself a step. So on this one, I'm just trying to see how many of you missed this problem. 7 of you missed it. So it's a simple elimination problem. Another way you could have done this is you could have solved it. You could have said x equals 9 minus y. That's a negative 9. And then substituted that into the first equation. All right, this one here, I think, well, one person got this right, I think. I don't know how they got it right because it's kind of complicated, but if you have trig, it's not so bad. If you haven't had trig, this might have been a little bit in geometry. It's going to be harder for you, but it says in a right triangle, one angle measures x degree where sine of x is 4 over 5. So what you want to do is you set up your triangle. If you've never done this before, this is going to seem really hard, but the sine, if this is x, The sine of x is opposite over hypotenuse. It's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. It's a Pythagorean triple that you should memorize. What's the angle of cosine of 90 minus x? Well, 90 minus x would be this angle right here, right? If a triangle is 180 degrees, what's left is 90 minus x. Or you could know that the cosine, this is the inverse function of sine of x. So we're talking, now they want to know the cosine of this angle. So this would be what's left. If you subtract 90 and x from it, you would get this angle. So they're asking for the cosine of this angle. Well, cosine is adjacent, which is the 4, over the hypotenuse, which is 5. If you had trig, you'll probably understand what I just said. If you haven't had trig, then you'll probably want to skip those kind of problems. Okay, final problem wasn't too terrible. If you know anything about radicals, you can get rid of a radical by squaring it. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do the other. So I'm going to take this first one. I'm going to actually do it to both of them. I'm going to square both sides, so I get a squared. If I square the 5, I'm going to get 25. And if I square the square root of 2, I get 2. When you square a square root, you no longer have the radical. I'm going to do the same thing to this other equation. So I'm going to get 4a squared equals 2x. I'm going to solve the first one. I'm just going to write a squared equals 50. And you can see there's an a squared right here. So I'm going to take my 50 and put it in for a squared because it says a squared equals 50. So we get 4 times 50 equals 2x. And if I divide both sides by 2, I get x equals 100. This is going to be 200. And if I divide it by 2, we get 100. So that is your answer for that. All right, those were the grid-in problems. We'll talk about gridding in class.